Hello, hello. Thanks so much for joining me today. Hope you're doing well. It's a beautiful sunny day here. We're finally getting summer in the UK. I can feel that everyone's mood is slightly uplifted as a result of this. And I really wanted to talk today about something that comes up so often for my clients. And it's something that I have to address in my courses when I'm working with people, when I work with people one to one. We nearly always have to address the topic of habits because it plays such a significant role in whether or not we're going to be able to create changes in our lives. Because let's face it, most of us know what we should be doing. We know we should be drinking more water, we should be exercising, going to bed early, doing meditation, all these sorts of things we know we should do. And the thing that stops us is that we can't get ourselves to do those things consistently. And yet, it is consistently having these little habits in our lives that ends up changing our lives. And when I talk about habits, it doesn't have to be something huge. Very often, it's these little habits that we can incorporate into our lives that can make such a difference to our happiness, to our anxiety levels, to our well being, to our success in life, whatever that might look like for you. So, habits are so important. And for me personally, being able to do things consistently has been the key thing, I think, in creating change in myself. And so, when I was getting ready to have a baby, I was consistently practicing my hypnobirthing, listening to my hypnotherapy recordings, listening to my affirmations, doing those practices and exercises. When I was wanting to overcome anxiety, it was again listening to hypnotherapies, it was meditation, it was getting outside every day. It was not having coffee, for example. So these little habits really do have the power to shift things for us significantly. So I'm just going to share one suggestion that has to do with habits that I think if you can incorporate this, even just one new habit into your life, it would have a very significant positive impact on your life. And the thing that I'm going to suggest is something called habit stacking. Now, this term comes from a famous individual called James Clear in his book Atomic Habits. It's still one of the best-selling personal development books that you can find. If you Google personal development, it will come up very, very high. If you put it into Amazon, it will come up very high. His book is all about habits, but my favorite thing from his book is what he calls habit stacking. And habit stacking is basically a strategy that involves linking a new habit to an existing habit that you already have, and allowing that existing habit that you have to be a cue to remind you and to trigger you to go and do that new habit. And it basically makes it so much easier to incorporate a new habit into your routine. Now, here are some examples of habit stacking. So, Dr. Rangan Chatterjee, the doctor and podcast host, says that while he's brewing his coffee in the morning, he waits about 5 minutes for his coffee to brew. And in that time, while he's waiting for his coffee, because he's not going to miss his coffee, he loves his coffee, and that's a really important part of his morning routine. But while he's waiting for that coffee to brew, he is doing a 5 minute workout. And he says that he has rarely missed this workout as a result of the fact that he's never going to miss his coffee because that's so important to him in his day. And so as soon as he's making his coffee, he gets I don't know what he does. He gets his kettlebell or does some push-ups on the kitchen floor. I don't know exactly what goes down, but this is a brilliant example of habit stacking. Another great example is a client of mine who, while she was brushing her teeth in the morning, the evening, she would stick an affirmations track on, or she would read a list of affirmations on her phone. For her, being able to stick to a habit was really challenging, and yet she was able to really stick to this and create a new routine, working with affirmations, feeling the benefits of affirmations because of the fact that she was always brushing her teeth and she knew it was only going to be for 2 minutes each time. And she picked up her toothbrush, put on the toothpaste, and took that as the cue to get out her phone and have those affirmations there accessible. Now, let's talk a little bit about why habit stacking is so Amazing. So it basically hooks a new habit onto an existing habit. So it makes it easier to create that new habit. And it helps you to build consistency. And as I said earlier, consistency is the most important thing with any habit. If you meditate once, if you go for a walk once, if you skip, I don't know, if you cut out your coffee routine because it makes you anxious, if you do that once, it might help you for one day, but it's doing it day after day that is really going to create those changes in your life. Having something that's a habit can also help to reduce decision fatigue. We have to make so many decisions in our day. And the more decisions we make, the more energy it uses up. We can actually grind down our mental energy by having lots of decisions to make. So if you have to make this decision, am I going to do a workout this morning or am I not? Oh, should I listen to a hypnosis session tonight or not? If we get into these having to make these decisions, it grinds us down and we may end up, not making that decision. So having these habits in place as part of your routine stacked onto other habits that you already have just completely removes the decision. It becomes not a decision, just something that you do. So here are the steps for how anyone can use habit stacking in their life. So number one is to identify an existing habit that you already have. So what is it that you do every day without fail? Maybe it is brushing your teeth. Maybe it is having that coffee. Maybe it is taking off your makeup in the evening. Perhaps it's taking the dog for a walk. Think about the things that you already do, and then think about a new habit that you would love to incorporate into your life. So, what is something that you would love to do? Maybe you've tried to have this habit as be part of your life before and haven't managed to stick to it, or maybe it's something that you're going to just choose now. So, things that I love are, meditation, might be journaling, it might be some kind of exercise, it might be a gratitude practice, it might be listening to hypnotherapy recordings, for example. So choosing what is that new habit that you want to stick into your routine, and then create this habit stack formula. So it might be, as I take off my makeup in the evening, I will think about things that I'm grateful for. Or, one way that I really got myself to meditate in the past, well, when I first started meditating, was just getting up and doing it first thing in the morning. So as soon as I wake up in the morning, I go and brush my teeth, go for a pee, and then I get into bed and I do my 20 minutes meditation. It might be while my coffee's brewing, I will do 5 minutes of journaling. So think about your habit stack formula, what you're going to do at what point, and how you're going to hook that new habit onto an existing one. So with this, start small. Do something that you can relatively easily stick to. Don't try to create 10 different habits in a day all at once. Start small and build from there. So do one at a time, have it in your life for a couple of weeks, see what the impact is, and then add other habits from there. And just remember that it is being consistent that's most important. It might be quite a small habit that you're incorporating, but if you're being consistent at it, that's what is going to create real change in your life. And if you can, try to find a way to track your progress. I was considering this the other day about how I used to work in the NHS as a nutritionist, and I used to work in weight management for the NHS. This was like 12 years ago, or maybe more than that now. And one thing that I remember learning is that we as humans are so bad at recalling what we've done, like what we've eaten or what exercise we've done. We have to make a note of it. You have to keep a diary, really, if you want to know what the changes that you're making in your life, what the impact is of those, essentially. So have some kind of journal or some way of tracking, whether it's a habit tracking app or you're just making a note in a notebook or on your phone or on a document on a computer. So I made this change and I did this for 2 weeks and this is how I felt each day. Or check in with yourself every few days to see how that habit is impacting you. Because again, it's really easy to forget. You give up coffee and you start to feel better, but you don't really realize you're feeling better because it happens quite gradually and you're not keeping a note of it. And then 4 months later, you get back into coffee. And because you hadn't written it down, you don't realize that it actually had an impact on you. So that's another reason to make a note of it. And of course, if that habit doesn't help you, maybe you cut out coffee. Maybe you start having a lunchtime walk and it doesn't actually make you feel any better. Then, of course, you know that information, then you can change things and you can do something different. So, here are some examples, more examples and ideas of habit stacking. So, it might be in the morning, after I make my bed, I will meditate for 5 minutes. It might be after I go to the loo in the morning, I will put on my workout clothes so that I'm ready to go and exercise. It might be after I pour my morning coffee, I will drink a glass of water. Who needs to drink more water? Me. And I've started doing this. Whenever I have a cup of tea, I have to have a glass of water as well. After I brush my teeth and get into my pajamas, I will read a book for 10 minutes. So it can be helpful to write them down. So there's some more ideas for you. So, what do you think about this? Are you going to be habit stacking? Do you agree with me that actually habits are such a central and important factor in our well-being and our mental health? And if you could only stick to those habits, you would feel much better. Let me know. Come and find me on Instagram. Let me know if this episode resonated with you. And as always, I invite you to come and find me on my website, calmeryou.com. And I've got loads of freebies there, free workbooks and PDFs. And I've got some free workshops that you can get involved in. And I've also got my hypnotherapy sessions there and my courses. So if you want to take this further, then you can check that out on my website. So I hope you have a great week ahead. I'll see you soon. Thanks so much. Bye.